Hi, everyone. I'm Dave Shore of the 3-1 Group. Well, one of the reasons why I'm here is because I am interested in not only the things that my colleagues are into or talk about, but I love the concept of leadership. And leadership comes from experience. And also leadership comes from the ability to have the listening and learning ability yourself. I was always told there's a reason why we have 2 ears and only one mouth, right? You're supposed to spend most of your time using those 2 ears. And so that's what's always fascinated me. Reverse engineering, I right now am in the nonprofit industry as a chief operating officer. So I've also come from 30 years in the for-profit industry. So one of the interesting things is to see how companies and industries exist and the differences between them, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, and you find some of the similarities. So I like to look at that and how those organizations are run and talk about leadership principles. Now, how I started as a reporter. I always wanted to be a reporter or a sportscaster since I was a kid. So I got to do that for my first 30 years in the business world as being a television and radio sports reporter or executive. One of the interesting things about that is I loved being a reporter because I loved asking questions. I loved finding out how things worked, what made people tick, what they're thinking about. And so that kind of honed all the skills of being able to ask thought-provoking questions and then, more importantly, get some interesting answers from them. The leadership part came from, in my experience in the sports industry, I got a chance to travel with a lot of professional and college sports teams. So I got a chance to travel with the Dallas Cowboys during Bill Parcells' years, Phil Jackson's years with the Los Angeles Lakers, and Kobe's final seasons, and the Dallas Mavericks, so Don Nelson and Dirk Nowitzki. One of the things that I learned the most through those is actually seeing guys on the plane, on off days, in practices, in games, how they worked, how the important decisions that they made led to success, and how some decisions led to failures, but more importantly, how they took those failures and then turned them around to use them as learning experiences. Because I can tell you one thing, Bob Knight, Coach K, a couple other guys that I spent a lot of time being around, the one thing that they'll tell you is they learn more from the losses, the mistakes that ended up turning into success for them as well. So that's my passion. I think leadership is important in so many ways. I also can talk about communication from coming from a communications industry as well. But I'm passionate about some of the things that the rest of our guys bring to this 3-1 Group as well. And I think most importantly, we all need to be able to talk about the topics of the day and what we've learned about it. So what I hope you do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our podcast as well. But more importantly, tell us what you think, what's on your mind. Please leave it in the comments below and tell us what you'd like to know more about. In the coming episodes, I'll tell stories from what I've saw and learned from the sports industry and now from the nonprofit industry as well. And we want to hear your stories as well. That's what makes this really current and continue to be thought-provoking for all of us. So I'm Dave Shore. Thanks so much for joining us here on the 3-1 Group.